How's it going, guys? Bring a Platoon here, and welcome back to another great set of games, another double feature featuring, of course, me and the André the Giant, aka the AMX M454 tank that was just released when you complete the last stage of the season for the SummerSlam special reward thing. You also get the Stone Cold Steve Austin tank if you have a premium account when you complete it, but that's not what this video is about. This video is going to be entitled "More Tips and Tricks Involving the André the Giant Tank," because I want to say that you play it just like the AMX M454, and you do to an extent, but you do get some additional spaced armor on both the side of your tank, the chassis, your turret, and in the front of the turret, so that weird top left and top right mantlet spot is no longer a quote-unquote weakness to premium APCR and or heat shells. So yeah, to an extent you play it the same. You go with your team, you go where there's people to support you. You definitely don't want to isolate yourself in this tank, especially if it just so happens that the enemy team YOLO'd your way. Because at least then you have some allies who can take hits for you while you dish out 560 alpha every 15 seconds if you have everything on this tank related to increasing its DPM besides vents. You'll want to replace the vents on this tank for optics just to help yourself get a little bit more view range, and that's my thought on it, because when you have more view range, when mediums out-detect you, and they will, because they have higher camouflage values than you, when they shoot at you, chances are you'll at the very least, detect them, and either your team will hit them, or you will, and assuming they bounce off, it's going to be great for you to be able to hit them, because then they're going to take a 560 alpha roll to the face, and sometimes it can roll a little high, like we're going to do on this Conqueror in a few seconds. I didn't expect it to roll this high, but sometimes it does, and when it does, it's fucking hilarious. And wait for it. Oh yeah, 686. I've rolled for 700 at least, I'm going to say 4 to 5 times now in this tank in the time that I've had it. So that's hilarious, and that's not with high explosive, that's with regular AP rounds. So that adds to the hilarity even more so. But when you miss or you bounce off due to lack of penetration facing like a super heavy tank, like a Type 5 Heavy or an E100 hull down angling, it's gonna be rough for you, because you're gonna have a 15-second reload, and without anything on this tank, it's an 18.7-second reload, which is bonkers considering. Let me put this into perspective how bad this tank's reload is. In Object 705A, a gun that has 310 premium pen for the heat rounds does 750 plus alpha every shot, can out-reload this tank. With everything on it that I have on this tank, if the enemy has the same exact loadout for equipment, then, well, you're SOL. Because he's going to hit you, and if he has the consumable on, which I don't think anyone would, but just a hypothetical here. He will out-trade you and out-reload you because of his massive alpha. So this thing alone is not a threat, unless the enemy likes to spam heat and they keep hitting your side plates with the spaced armor on it. I should have shot a lot earlier on that André the Giant. I feel like I misplayed that heavily there. Another downfall of this tank with the AP, with both AP loadouts for standard and premium ammunition, is that you can't have faster velocity with the shells, so you also have to put that into consideration when you're shooting people who are moving at a considerable speed from a decent distance. And you don't have heat, so you can't overmatch angles of more than 70 degrees when people are hull down. So yeah, this thing has a lot of obstacles it has to overcome, but armor is not one of them. You have plenty of armor to make this thing work. If you're face-hugging somebody, they can still premium spam into your turret ring if they have a gun caliber of 121 millimeters or bigger. Then they can overmatch the roof of the chassis on this thing, both in the ass end, engine deck, and in the front, right above the upper plate. So that's rough. And then when you're hiding your lower plate so they can't pen your lower plate, they're going to aim for the hatches, and you're going to want to wiggle your turret left and right like a madman. Be that in first person or third person, because sometimes when I'm in third person, I lock on, and then my tank doesn't wiggle because I forget to get off the automatic lock on to the enemy. So just make sure you wiggle your turret. If they miss the hatches and hit the turret, there's a 100% chance they're going to bounce, even if they're tier 10 tank destroyers, because the added spaced armor on this thing makes it so much harder to deal with than the standard tech tree tank. And I think that's funny. Like, with the standard tech tree tank, the AMX M454, you turn the turret a little bit, they can pen the side of it anywhere. It's hilarious. And they can pen through your gun. So, also funny. I would like... let me just reiterate this, because I know I said it in a previous video as well. I have a 19 perk crew in this thing, okay? If you can struggle with a 5 skill crew in this thing, and still struggle with a 19 perk crew, great shot on that fucking light tank, that could have costed me some HP. I think, this is just me throwing ideas out here, that it might be a bad tank. Like, it's got armor. That's all it has going for it. The gun reload sucks. The accuracy sucks. Do not shoot this thing trying to snapshot people, because it will biff into the ground. I was literally 5 meters in front of a Conqueror. I aimed correctly into his side, and I needed to get past him to get to another target further down whatever line I was going down. I think it was on Arctic region, down the 2 line or something like that. And I bounced off his tracks because it just didn't fly high enough from 5 meters away. So if you don't aim in all your shots with this thing, and even when you do, the gun will fail you. But if you don't aim in all your shots, you only have yourself to blame for the missing when RNG doesn't fuck you over, I guess is what I'm saying. So, is it a bad tank? I would say it's difficult to master, much like the AMX M454, because you can be punished for any little mistake, and even doing everything correctly, sometimes people will just out-DPM you, and there's nothing you can do to stop them from YOLOing around your tank, because the turret traverse on this thing is worse than the tier 10 counterpart, even if you remove the... if you pick the other package and remove the spaced armor in the front of the mantlet for the gun, and I think the rest of the turret armor stays the same. No. If you pick the second package for this tank, you remove the spaced armor for the turret completely, and that is not the best. The side armor stays the same, but the turret armor, or the added spaced turret armor is gone. I don't know why they did that, but whatever. I think you get, like, without the turret spaced armor, you get 2 additional degrees of turret traverse speed, which isn't worth it. But that's all you get. You get a little bit less aim time, and it's... not aim time. You get a little bit less of a reload. It's just... It's ridiculous. It really is. Just pick the one with the added spaced armor, because this thing needs all the help it can get with those stupid non-armored weak spots in the mantlet. I don't know why they couldn't just buff that to make it like the rest of the mantlet, but sure. Yeah. But the spaced armor does help. I will say that. I haven't been penned in my gun yet, unless it was by like an E4 firing a BCR, or an E3. But other than that, tier 10 tank destroyers, don't fuck with them when you're alone. Don't 1v1 them. Just don't do it. Not worth the trade. Definitely not worth it if they haven't fired yet. So, yeah, keep that in mind. Oh, another problem with this tank is that the driver dies religiously, so pain tolerance is a definite crew skill on this tank, as well as a large med kit just to prevent it from being a constant problem. It seems to happen regardless of what I have on it, so maybe even consider trading out a... Don't get rid of the vertical stabilizer. Maybe with a super heavy spall liner on it. No, I wouldn't recommend doing that. But I do have it on my Badger to protect them from crew damage, and oh my god, it's hilarious. Already dicks on them for no damage sometimes, and it's hilarious. But this tank is difficult to play. Is it a bad tank? Borderline, yes. But it's just, there was no point to have this iteration of the tank other than it gives it more spaced armor for the turret and the side armor. They could have just put that on the standard AMX M454, but instead of giving it the side armor and stuff for the 130 millimeter, they could have just have done it for the 120 millimeter instead. But I don't know. Just wargaming, putting more tanks into the games that are just basically reskins. And here we have a Badger. He's a fucking hero. Spamming Hesh at me, I do believe. Or maybe not even that. I don't know what he's putting into me, but he's not penning me, and he wasn't doing damage to me, so I don't know what he was firing there. Maybe it was standard AP rounds? I have no idea. But he's gone. That very easily could have been a bad thing for me, considering his lower plate is 220 millimeters of effective armor, and in the left and the right bottom plate is like, what? YOLOing tier 8s in a tier 10 match. Well done, idiot. Well done. And once again, the ISU 152 saves my ass, so good on him. But as I was going on to say, the Badger's bottom left and bottom right lower plate armor is like 280 or 270 millimeters thick. So if I didn't have premium loaded or my standard ammo low rolled for RNG minus 25%, I wouldn't have been able to pen that Badger's lower plate if he wasn't angled at all. So that's cool of him to just YOLO up the middle for whatever reason. But the only reason this game works out the way it does is because I have my team supporting me. You need to be, in order to play this tank quote-unquote correctly, in order for you to have enough damage per game to go up in the third mark of excellence, you need 3,600 damage. And while that doesn't seem like much of a feat, in this tank, every shot counts because every shot you take wastes more and more time of the game. And considering every game lasts 3 to 4 minutes on average lately, I know you're looking at the clock right now saying, oh, it's almost in 4 minutes right now. But yeah, it's ridiculous. People cap out in tier 10 games, and it's been 2 fucking minutes, and, oh, sorry, almost lost my cool there. But yeah, you need to make every shot count. You need to go with your team. Wherever the most enemy tanks is, you need to go, unless you feel like the group of them, I get dicked on by RD again, of course I do. Unless you feel like the group of them, lemming training wherever they're going, can support you from where you want to go, then do that, because you're just going to be battling your own teammates for damage, and if you're going to use them like bullet sponges, I would do that, and then pop out to take a hit, or to give the enemy a hit from you, because this tank, it just doesn't take shells well. I know I mentioned it has armor, but it's, for some reason, it just seems to be able to be damaged no matter what you do. It just doesn't make any sense. I don't agree with it, but it is what it is. But I'm taking shots from the left, I'm getting shots from the right, and I just have to assume my team has this, because if I take a look at them on my left, the E75 can put a premium shell into my turret, and or even a standard shell if I'm completely flat on to him. But yeah, way to go, E50M. Way to keep hitting my fucking gun, even though I have spaced armor there and you couldn't pen it anyway. But hey, good on you for trying. But I keep backing up because I know I'm a one-hit, and I keep trying to get fucking shots into that T-32, and I can't fucking do it with a broken gun. I could barely do it with a non-damaged gun. But then the E4 takes care of him. That adds to my track target hit damage, and I think that's the end of the game. So I ended up with 8,600 damage combined in this game that I probably shouldn't have survived by going in the middle. But thanks to my team supporting me and having a brain to shoot whatever tanks were coming my way, except for that Pershing, I could have fucking one-hit him after he idiotically rammed me for 600 damage. So funny. But, yeah. It's a good tank. I enjoy it the same as the AMX M454. I just wish it wasn't slower. I wish the gun had the same gun stats as the tier 10 standard counterpart. And I don't know. The spaced armor's nice. The gun reload is too long. That is without a doubt an absolute fact. Like, there's no reason why a 705A should be able to out-reload this thing when your gun caliber is less and does less damage. It just doesn't make sense to me. But, thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the gameplays once again. And please subscribe, like, or comment. I hate saying that, but I feel like people haven't been lately. And I do appreciate every single one that I get. Thank you, and I'll catch you next time.